Hello, veterans. How are you? And welcome back to Her Vet Voice, where we break down the information that protects your benefits, your money, and your rights. So, today we are digging into an article that was put out by the Army Times, and we are going to discuss and call out some companies that have been taking advantage of veterans by charging these veterans for services that the VA has legally requires to be free. And here's the shocking part about this thing. Even after the VA has put these companies on notice, many of them are still in business and still are targeting veterans. So, in this video tonight, we are going to put these companies on notice. Many of them are still calling veterans, they're still asking for them to take over their claims. So we're going to pull up the article on the screen and we're going to read it. We're going to go through it. We're going to break it down and see what it really means to these veterans who have encountered these challenges. And if you are a veteran, especially one that is dealing with disability claims, this information is one that you will want to hear. So let's get into it. And I'm going to pull up the article. Let's go. So, this article is titled The VA Told Companies That They May Be Breaking the Law. Most Are Still in Business. And as you can tell, this article was written by the Army Times by Leah Rosenbaum of the War Horse. And we are going to go through this article and see what's literally happening. So it starts by saying helping veterans get through the red tape of applying for VA disability benefits has become a $1 million industry over the past decades, which might be surprising because charging vets for some help, much such help, may be against federal law. An investigation by the War Horse and the NPR revealed that over the past 10 years, the Department of Veteran Affairs has sent more than 40 letters to dozens of claim companies, consulting companies, sometimes called claim sharks by critics, writing them to reveal their practices and immediately cease any illegal activity. Yet, this hasn't stopped them. On the contrary, many of these companies have gotten bigger and bolder. One company even sent the War Horse a cease and desist letter trying to prevent parts of the story from being published. These companies exist in the Wild West, ranking in huge sums as lawmakers and regulators struggle to keep up with legal loopholes. Some of them are multi-millionaire firms with more than 100 employees on their payroll, while others are small family owned businesses. Many are founded and run by veterans who claim that their primary goal is to help other veterans get their benefits they deserve. But under the federal law, only representatives accredited by the VA, such as lawyers and nonprofit veterans service organizations, can provide such help. And the department has been trying for years to crack down on unauthorized firms with little to no success. We just focus on our client, said Chas Sampson, an Army retired and CEO of Seven Principles, who insists that he never received the warning letter that the VA sent his company last year. If the VA ever comes out and say, hey, you're going to prison for this tomorrow, we're going to stop it. Until then, we're going to continue serving people. So let's stop right here. He said, if the VA comes out and say, you're going to prison for this tomorrow, we're going to stop doing it. So what does that mean? If they do not go to prison for what they are doing to these veterans, they are going to continue to do it. And guess what? There is nothing that the VA can do about it, despite the warning letters that the VA has sent this company last year. The War Horse obtained dozens of warning letters from the VA in response to the Freedom of Information Act requests for all cease and desist letters to be sent to the claim consulting companies over the past 10 years. An analysis of the letters and investigation in the recipient shows at least 29 of the 38 companies that were warned in the letter that may be engaged in unlawful activities appear to be still operating as of late November. 29 still have active business registrations, and 34, a total of 34, have an active website on social media, on a social media account. At least 9 of the companies were registered as nonprofit. Some of the bigger companies include the VA Insider, Trajectory Line, and the Veteran Guardian. VA Claim Consultant received multiple letters over the 10-year period, all the while growing their company to hundreds of employees and collecting, spending millions of dollars on lobbying efforts and political endorsements. The number of warning letters spiked in 2024, and amid a rising VA effort during the Biden administration to stop a wide variety of fraud against veterans who reported being swindled out of $419 million last year, according to the Federal Trade Companies. There are no letters from 2025 in response to the Warhorse FOIA request, and the VA wouldn't say if the agency has sent any out this year. The debate over charging veterans, the lack of repercussions for claim consultants comes as battles at state houses across the country and on Capitol Hill play out over dueling legislation efforts to either crack down on the companies or clear the way for them to legally charge veterans for such services. The benefits claim process can be long and arduous as veterans petition the VA to rate the severity of their disabilities and get financial benefits based on the percentage of the rating from 0 to 100. These companies often speed the convenience in return for cash, like hiring an accountant instead of doing taxes herself. But many of these firms charge vets 10 times what they might pay for help on their taxes. Some bill veterans as one-time fee, that's a 5 times their disability rate increase, which can be awarded up to $20,000. Most companies say they're not violating the law because they only advise veterans on how to file for benefits and don't actually file the veteran benefits themselves. The warning letters had little impact, critics says, largely because 20 years ago, Congress stripped the penalties from the law. The VA is not a law enforcement agency, Pete Kasparitz said, VA press secretary said in response to the questions from the Warhorse and the NPR, but it's a fully committed preventing bad actors from taking advantage of the veterans. Kasparitz said that when the VA sees signs of fraud, the department works with appropriate law enforcement or authorities, but we also want to make sure that veterans have a choice, particularly if they aren't happy with whatever options might be available for them for free. One of the biggest companies, Florida-based Trajector Inc., received 2 warning letters, one in 2017 when the company was called VetCom and Penn Medical Consulting, and the second in 2022. A 12-page message detailing potential legal issue with the company's fee structure and staff attorneys. This letter, sent via certified mail, was addressed to the company's co-founder and CEO, Navy veteran Jim Hill. It warned the company to cease all preparation, presentation, and prosecution of VA benefits claims, or else the VA will refer the matter to appropriate federal and state law enforcement agencies. 3 years later, and Trajector is still operating and pursuing veterans for payment, even when the veterans say the company wasn't responsible for their disability rating increase. Okay, so I want to click this part, this green part right here, because I want you guys to see, I think this is the video, and I hope when I click this is going to be the video. Okay, and I want you guys to listen to this.
This message comes from Vital Farms, who works with small American farms.
I hope
Bring you
it does.
pasture-raised eggs. Click the play button to hear from pasture-raised egg farmer Tanner Pace, who shares the sights and sounds he and his hens experience on the rolling hills of his family farm in southern Missouri.
A Florida-based company is hitting disabled military veterans with big bills, sometimes $10,000 or $20,000. This is happening even though the VA has said that may be illegal and the services should be free. But so far, nobody's stopping this company and others like it. Chris Arnold and Kaylee Fox Shannon from NPR's investigations team report.
There's a job army with a bad reputation for concussions. It's firing a powerful anti-tank weapon called the Carl Gustav.
Dustin is a former Army Ranger and combat vet who fired that weapon dozens of times.
When you shoot it, it's like getting punched in the face, and you feel weirdly drunk for the next day afterwards.
NPR is only using Dustin's first name because he's concerned about retribution, and we'll explain why.
After he left the military, Dustin struggled as a civilian. He was pretty sure he had a traumatic brain injury and PTSD. And eventually, an older vet told him that he could get help applying for veterans' disability benefits by hiring a private company. And he started working with them.
I sent them documents. I gave them whatever they needed. I didn't get anything back from them. Seriously, I sent them a couple of emails. I'm looking like, hey, guys, I haven't gotten there. You're still working on my case.
Dustin eventually sent the company an email saying, I want to cancel our arrangement. Basically, I'm doing this without you. Then he says he did the VA paperwork without the company's help and submitted it. And the VA rated him 70% disabled, qualifying him for free health care and a monthly disability check.
And then I got this bill out of nowhere when I got my VA rating, which just kind of blew me away.
Dustin got a bill for $4,500 from that company that he felt didn't do much of anything for him. It's called Trajector Medical.
NPR interviewed 11 former Trajector employees and heard from 60 veterans who used its service. Our investigation revealed a company that started with a mission to help disabled vets, but that former workers say became too intent on aggressive debt collection and maximizing profits. Despite warnings from the VA that it may be breaking the law, the company continues to operate.
Also, we found that a key moneymaker for the company is a computerized robo-dialer system named Callbot. Former workers say it's constantly bombarding a VA phone hotline that's meant for veterans. Trajector is not accredited by the VA, and the VA won't give it information about vets' disability pay. So the company uses Callbot as a side door to monitor those payments to tens of thousands of vets who once signed up as customers.
Callbot plugs in their social security numbers to track their disability pay. And if it increases, Trajector sends the vet a bill. In Dustin's case, he refused to pay because he said the company didn't hold up its end of the deal.
I think that they took advantage of me and they accessed the VA database to find out if I had a claim so they could make $4,500 from a guy who spent 5.5 years in the Army and 2 tours in Afghanistan.
Wow.
Now, the contracts that vets sign do state that Trajector will use their personal information to access VA systems. And Trajector told NPR its mission continues to be to help vets receive benefits if they qualify.
And some veterans that NPR heard from said that they did get help from Trajector. Kelly is a 65-year-old Navy vet with a spinal injury. He didn't want to use his last name for fear of VA lowering his disability rating.
I have enough to get by and I don't have to work and, kill myself, which I was doing. And it was really hard on my body because of all of my other ailments.
Trajector charges 5 times any increase a vet receives in their monthly disability check. For Kelly, that was $17,400.
I'm definitely on the fence about it. I think 5 months of payments may be a little bit steep, but they got the job done. Hopefully I don't have to worry about it again.
But then there's this. There's a federal law that says that you can't charge veterans money for help filing initial disability claims. Vets can get that help for free from organizations like the American Legion or VFW. They're accredited by the VA. And those groups want lawmakers and prosecutors to crack down on companies like Trajector.
Trajector says it complies with the law and that it's just helping vets, quote, understand, identify, and document their medical conditions. Here's what the company's founder, Jim Hill, said in an interview on Trajector's website.
We don't fill out your forms ourselves. We don't file your claims. We don't do any of that.
Except vets say that they do that. veterans showed us pages and pages of VA forms that they said the company prepared for them. Trajector emailed them a link where they could review the completed VA paperwork and click submit. Vets then received a confirmation message that the claim was faxed directly to the VA. Trajector says that the website it directs vets to review their forms is operated by a separate company, though that company's corporate filings also trace back to Trajector's founder, Jim Hill.
The VA's own lawyers have said Trajector may be breaking the law. NPR and our partner, the nonprofit newsroom The War Horse, obtained warning letters that VA sent to Trajector and dozens of other such businesses. Veterans also told NPR they were surprised by how aggressive Trajector was at trying to collect.
They were calling just about every day, sometimes even twice or three times a day.
Marine Corps veteran Enrique Miranda Cardenas says Trajector promised to hold his hand and help him file his claim, but he was upset he had to do a lot of the work himself. Enrique paid Trajector $1,300, but he feels like that's enough and says the company's still trying to collect more than $10,000 and calling nonstop.
I said, don't be hounding me for stuff. I said, and I don't feel that it's right for me to pay you what you're claiming that I need to pay you.
A former Trajector employee who sent out bills to vets said many were angry that the company hadn't done much to help them. She didn't want to use her name for fear of retribution from Trajector.
There was so much turnover because who wants to be yelled at by veterans all day? I didn't know that I was going to be like a debt collector, like banging on people's doors, like, give me your money.
Now, many vets say that they should have the right to pay a company for help. After all, plenty of Americans hire an accountant to do their taxes.
But some of these companies charge vets 10 or 20 times what they would pay for tax help. So some in Congress want to firm up existing laws and bring order to the Wild West of veteran claims consulting. Kaylee Fox.
All right, so that was just an article from the NPR investigation that we reviewed just now in reference to how Trajector Inc. and what they've been doing to our veterans. Using an automated dialing system, the company refers to as a callbot, Trajector has been able to repeatedly dial the VA phone hotline that is supposed to be a resource for veterans to check the amount of their monthly disability payments. But some claims consulting companies, including Trajector, call the hotline regularly using veterans' personal information to see if they obtain a payment increase, the investigation found. Trajector isn't the only company that the VA calls the VA to check on a veteran's benefit increase. Veterans Guardian, Call Agency, and Veteran Benefit Guides also uses an auto dialer to check on VA benefits, though the company says it does so with its customer consent. NPR investigation found that once Trajector determined a veteran had gotten an increase, the company would then begin pursuing the veteran for payment. When NPR asked about the auto dialer, Trajector pointed to a service agreement which says that the company may use personal information about the veteran to access VA systems. In response to the VA first warning letter, Trajector told the VA that they did what was legal because they prepared the person, not the claim. But the VA replied, this is a distinction without difference. In an email to the War House, a company spokesman insisted that Trajector is not a claim consultant, but instead a medical evidence service provider. They take any communication from the VA seriously. And Steve Zanofsky, Director of Communications and Public Relations of Trajector, when asked about the warning letters, when these letters were received, we promptly responded in writing, and nearly 4 to 8 years since then have received no reply from the VA. I was more than happy with paying. James Coons recalled his trip to Montgomery, Alabama as one of the happiest times in recent memory. He road tripped there from home to Southern Alabama to speak out against the proposed law that would ban claim consulting companies from practicing in the state. The Veterans Benefits Guide, a claim consulting company that Coons had used to upgrade his disability rating, had asked if he would be willing to drive to the state capitol and lobby against the bill. The company paid about $200 for his gas and food, and Kuhn said, but he did it because it was what he believed in. If you're a veteran, you deserve every option, he said. Kuhn said he tried multiple options to get his VA disability rating after leaving the Navy in 2023. A former gas turbine system mechanic in the USS John S. McCain, Coons left the service with an injured shoulder and PTSD. His first attempt for the VA disability benefit was a Disabled American Veteran, a veteran service organization that helps veterans file for their benefits for free. Coons said he appreciated that he didn't have to pay, but the process took more than 6 months, time when he could have been getting disability pay after the business had tried to start failed. He said, after getting rated at 50% disabled, he saw a message from a friend on Snapchat about veterans benefit guides, helping veterans increase their ratings. That process went by super fast. Kuhn said, veterans benefit guides set him up with multiple doctors to document his medical issues and then compile a packet for him that included all the necessary medical records and forms. A couple of months later, Kuhn was rated at 90% disabled, and the only catch was the cost. Kuhn owed veterans benefit guides around $5,000. I knew it was coming. I was more than happy with paying that, especially with the amount you get monthly in disability benefits, said Kuhn, now a full-time student getting a welding degree. Not everyone is happy with veterans paying company like Veterans Benefit Guides thousands of dollars. In a letter dated in August of 2024, VA said Veterans Benefit Guides may be engaged in unlawful or illegal activity, and it should review its business practices and immediately cease such activities. The VA characterized it as a cease and desist letter in a public records response, the War Horse. Although Veterans Benefit Guides disagreed, in a September 24th response to the VA, the company said that it was confident it is not involved in any unlawful or illegal activity with respect to the assistance provided to its veterans. The company says VA never responded, signaling to VBG that the matter was resolved. A year later, Joshua Smith, the founder and CEO of the company, said in an interview with the War Horse and NPR that we've never received a cease and desist letter like other companies have. Smith, a Marine Corps veteran, founded Benefits Guides after a career at the VA as a disability rater. We want the VA involved. We want federal oversight. We want accreditation reform. The company, however, did not want to be included in this article. Earlier this month, its lawyer fired off an 11-page cease and desist letter to the War House. In it, they repeated that the letter Veterans Benefits Guides received from the VA was not a cease and desist, and that a mischaracterization of the letter is likely to mislead readers and imply that VBG engaged in lawful or illegal activities despite there being no supporting evidence of such claim. The company then went further, demanding assurance that VBG will not be referenced or discussed in this article should be published. The claim consultant companies have track records of denying they received cease and desist letters from the VA. The letter that VBG received was similar to another claim consult giant, Veterans Guardian, received in 2019, citing the same law and using similar wording. It took a scolding from the House Subcommittee on Veteran Affairs to force Veterans Guardian co-founder William Taylor to eventually acknowledge receipt of the VA warning that he said in sworn testimony that his company had not received a cease and desist. Even after the committee dug up the letter and confronted Veterans Guardian's legal team, Taylor hedged in his concession. I take no issue with this characterization, Taylor wrote, though this is not how I personally view the correspondence. 7 principals, a claim consulting business with location in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and Houston, has a few similarities to Veterans Benefit Guides. They were both founded by veterans, turned VA disability raters, and turned entrepreneurs. But with fewer than 30 employees, 7 Principals is much smaller than the VBG, which has more than 200 employees. Yet, it was mailed a warning letter from the VA all the same. The letter dated on May 2nd, 2024 is similar to the letter sent to the Veterans Benefit Guide, swapping out details from the company's website. 7 Principal CEO and founder Chas Sampson, who lives in Houston, said that he never received or saw the letter, which was addressed in Virginia Beach Suite, listed on the company's website and business registration. I think you have to put into veterans' hands what their choices are, Sampson said. If there's that many companies doing this at this level, and there's that many veterans that are asking for the resource, the issue is not with the company. The issue is why aren't veterans being serviced? An average veteran claim takes about 12 to 14 hours of work, Sampson said, and he's trying to involve the veterans as little as possible. We do the legwork, he said, including logging into the Veterans Benefit online account and submitting the claim. This is a massive burden for a client, and we're lifting it off him or her family to make sure that they get the benefit that they require. Sampson said that the one thing that sets his company apart is a fee cap. Charges are capped at $12,000. Though most pay $5,000 to $7,500, he said, still there are other companies who do similar work far less. Lucas Seminayer, the founder of Vet Claims AI, said his company charged a flat rate fee of $1,250 per veteran. Vet Claim AI, which was founded in 2024, has not received a warning letter. In no world should you be charging $10,000 for a VA claim. Seminar said it doesn't cost that. This is what I'm saying. You don't have to charge a lot, but $10,000 is a whole lot of money. Michael Missel, who serves as a VA Inspector General from 2016 to January of this year, said his department was occasionally able to bring criminal cases against claims consulting companies with the Department of Justice. But those cases were rare, and usually only in instances when companies made false statements or false medical records. They are just very hard to prosecute, Missel said, given that the criminal penalty has been taken away. Otherwise, he said it would have been up to the VA to police the companies by sending out cease and desist letters, and many organizations just ignore the letters and continue to do the work. For the past years, both federal and state lawmakers have been attempting to legislate a more permanent policy fix. While at least 9 states have passed bills outlawing unaccredited companies for charging fees, at least 6 states have legalized claim consulting companies, creating a confusing patchwork of laws where companies are legal in some cases but not others. The War Horse reported earlier this year. Veterans Guardians, Veterans Benefit Guides, and other big claims consulting companies have each spent hundreds and thousands of dollars lobbying for state and federal laws that will legitimize their practices. These laws will allow them to charge fees up to $12,500 for helping veterans file their claim. Though some in the industry may think that price and tag is still too steep for disability veterans pay, in California, state legislators drafted a bill earlier this year that will outlaw the companies calling their business practices deceptive. This bill is set to be voted on in the state Senate in January of 2026. The current federal law is like having no penalty for speeding, says Pilar Chavajo, a Democratic Assembly member in California and co-author of the bill. If we're able to put this into state law, then it allows the AG to feel like they have solid grounding to go after these companies and really hold them accountable, he said. In nearby Nevada, where Veterans Benefit Guide is based, Ruben De Silva, a Marine Corps veteran and assembly member, said the company is the type that needs more regulation. He said that he initially thought the organization was working to help veterans. However, when he saw the moment that the veterans were paying and just a sort of lack of accountability, that's what really changed his mind. Earlier this year, De Silva proposed a state legislation that would regulate claims consulting companies. I thought it would be a slam dunk, he said, noting that the issue was the top veterans concern brought to the attention of the legislators. But then lobbying began again. and it was very aggressive. Eventually, De Silva proposed a compromise of $1,000 fee cap for companies to assist with initial claims and unlimited fees to assist with appeal. Both companies and veteran service organizations were against the proposal, and the bill died. Bottom line, De Silva said, it's all about money. So that is the end of the article. It was very interesting. There is so much to digest, but now that you have heard the full article, here is the bottom line, right? No veteran should ever be charged that amount of money for filing their disability claims. None. I don't care what amount of work that you have done, the amounts are egregious. They are. These companies continue to operate because veterans aren't always aware that they are doing stuff to them that are happening behind the scenes. Your knowledge is your perfection, veterans. Pay attention. If you're going to be using these companies or being charged with these companies, drop a comment below, share your experience. We're going to help each other along the way. And thank you for watching Her Vet Voice. I will definitely be back. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will definitely see you around soon. Keep serving, keep helping every veteran that you can, and we appreciate you.